Ho, 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 ho. Hey. Ho, 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 ho. Hey.
Yeah, so with me tonight, we've got Jesse I from Chant Down Sound celebrating his 10th birthday and the anniversary of bringing reggae music to Melbourne. So welcome, Jesse.
Yo, give thanks, Steve. Enough respect. Spin the music. Bless up. You're large.
So my first real question, Jesse, how did you get into reggae music here in Australia?
Well, me personally, I didn't actually get into reggae music in Australia. I got into reggae music when I was in the States. Back in '93, I was still in high school. And I did a bit of time in high school in the US and stayed with my uncle for a few months. And he played this bass-heavy reggae stuff to me. I'd never heard it before. And it was like Third World and Bob Marley, you know, real foundation classic reggae. And so I went home with some Bob Marley tapes and Third World tapes. From there I started to dig a bit deeper and discovered Burning Spear and Big Youth and Black Uru. And then in '97 I heard Sizzla, Praise Ye Jah, and that opened up all the modern reggae to me. And then from there it just went crazy, you know, from Sizzla to Capleton, Luciano, Anthony B, and then, you know, the rest is history.
So how did it find you hard buying music here in Australia from outlets from America and Jamaica? How did that come around?
Well, yeah, I guess when I first started looking for reggae in Australia, I grew up in the country and there's obviously nothing there, but I'd come to Melbourne and I still couldn't find much. But when I first moved to Melbourne, I used to take the tram or the train all over the city. I basically learned Melbourne's suburbs by going to every second-hand record shop around the city, finding every like old reggae record I could get. But then when I started to get into the new tunes, it was in the early days of reggae discussion groups on the internet, and you know, I sort of made some links. And then when the internet record business started to get going, like 98, 99, then I started ordering records via the internet, and that's when it really started to take off, you know, getting new records regularly from Jamaica.
So how did you go about starting your first night here in Melbourne, or back in the old days of Revolver and things like that?
Well, me and Ras Crucial used to play at Revolver on a Saturday afternoon with a bunch of other selectors. But in those times, there was no, you know, night to go out and hear reggae like as the main event all night long. So it was, you know, the very first Chant Down gig was a clash against Nasty Tech, which put reggae into the prime time for that one night, and that was at Revolver, October 2000. That's the 10-year anniversary we're celebrating tonight. But after that, there was still nothing for a while, and we thought we've got to do our own night, you know, and that's when we started More Fire, which was April 2001, and that's really when the scene started to grow. Once reggae and dancehall was being played prime time all night long, that's when it started to grow, and people would tell their friends, and the vibe was wicked, and it just took off from there.
So with reggae music, of course, dub plates are most priority, and your sound system, Chant Down Sound, have a whole bag of badass dub plates. How did that come around, Jesse?
Yeah, I guess, you know, actually, to be honest, like, the very first Chant Down dubs was before Chant Down was what it is now. It was just a name. I thought I was already doing a radio show called Chant Down Babylon, and I wanted to get some dubs from Jah Warrior in the UK. I voiced African Simba, and I thought, well, Chant Down Sound. I just trimmed the Babylon, Dashway Babylon, and like, we'll just keep chanting down. And it was after Ras Crucial heard those African Simba dubs that he said, man, you know, I'll join, you know, I love this. He just basically loved the direction I was going. He's like, I want to get on board. And, you know, from we started working together, we never looked back. And we started getting more dubs for our first clash against Nasty Tech. We thought, well, we need more than just 2 African Simba dubs to clash Nasty Tech. So we got some Jar Mason and some Courtney Melody and some Simpleton, like, you know, random names. But, you know, we started to build the box bit by bit. And then when I started to go to Jamaica, 2002, 2003, 2004, that's when I really started voicing artists, you know, like, mail order is crippling, it's so expensive. But when you're in Jamaica, you don't have to spend that much money to cut dubs. So that's sort of how we settled into it.
And next year you celebrate your 9 years here in this residence. I know you've moved to other clubs in the previous year, so is it good to be home after 10 years next year?
Oh yeah, it's wicked. It's for me personally, this is where the reggae scene really started in Melbourne for me. And so, you know, we had a great time at Brown Alley. We had a good year at Miss Libertine, but there's nothing like Deep 11. For me, this is the best venue in Melbourne, and it really does feel like home. So it's wicked to be able to celebrate. You know, we had the 9th birthday earlier, like you mentioned, earlier this year. We had the 100th More Fire last year, and now the 10th birthday at Chant Down. That's some big events in the space of a couple of years. Good to be back here for it.
And I was lucky to catch the first ever Morfire right here at Deep 11 back in 2001 when I was visiting. And basically, hearing you guys play made me make the move, honestly. So it's good to hear reggae music here in Melbourne. And as you're listening in Australia and watching this, reggae music's so underrated. And with your help with your PBS show, it's taken off, hasn't it, man? So how did you go about getting on PBS?
Yeah, well, it's good you mentioned that, actually, because I think PBS is really the thing we have to thank for more than anything in Melbourne when it comes to reggae and dancehall. I started, when I first moved to Melbourne in '97 after I finished high school, I started doing a show on SRA FM, which was a student radio station based at RMIT. It's now called Sin FM, and it's still broadcast, permanent broadcaster in Melbourne. And I started doing Chant Down Babylon there. I was there for a couple of years, and I was doing fill-ins at PBS for a guy called Jar Lloyd, who used to do a show, Ragga Roots and Dub, late night, Monday, midnight to 2 a.m. And then he just all of a sudden left the country. He sort of took off, and they didn't have anybody else to fill the spot, so I just moved right in. And then, less than a year later, the guy that did the Saturday afternoon time slot decided that he'd had enough, and so I moved to Saturday afternoons. And so I've been on PBS for more than 10 years now. And yeah, I really do think that without the PBS show playing the music week in, week out, and obviously supporting the scene, letting people know what's going on, I don't think we would have the scene we have today. I don't think Morfire would be what it is without PBS. And I know the reggae scene in general wouldn't be like it is, as healthy as it is.
And with the show PBS, first time I heard you, and I used to listen via the internet, and every time you played a Groundation tune, I mean, you've woken the ears up to Melbourne with Groundation, and every time I hear anyone play a Groundation tune, to me, in my mind, it's inspiration for Jesse, because you put it out there, man. So, you open the ears to so many people. So, where do you want to go? Oh, first of all, so what artist inspires you, Jesse?
Different artists over the years, but in the last decade, Midnight have probably given me more inspiration than anybody else. And I think if you ask Ras Crucial, he'd say the same, which is part of the reason me and Ras we've always worked so well together from the start. We've always been passionate about the same artists, and we love the Rasta messages in the music. I love dancehall bad, dancehall party music is wicked, but for your day-to-day, wake up in the morning, I got to turn on some roots music. And Midnight, Vaughan Benjamin from Midnight is the voice that has inspired me more than any other. There's plenty of other artists and singers along the way. Sizzler, I mentioned him earlier, and he really did sort of open me up to modern Jamaican music. I liked Luciano already, but Sizzler was really the man where it opened it up. But Midnight is the day-to-day inspiration for me.
So, of course, the main question, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time, Jesse? Don't think about it, we don't want to wish it away, but the music can only grow and grow and grow, and you're going to be there, you're the king, aren't you, really?
I'll give thanks, man, you're too flattering, but to be honest, I don't have any big dreams or aspirations. I think Crucial is the same. In 10 years, if we're still doing what we do now, if we're still filling up Deep 11 once a month, playing uncut, undiluted, real raw reggae music and dancehall with no apology, then I'll be happy. As long as we can just sustain the great reggae scene we've got now. My biggest hope is that we get more and more youths coming up, taking on to the music. You've got to big up Armageddon Time, because he's one youth that's really come along strong. He's doing a radio show on Sin FM now. He actually interviewed me there during the week, and it was a trip for me being back in the studio where I started my music career, being interviewed, as this veteran of the scene 10 years on.
Of course, your top 10 records, albums, if you want to say, if you can think it off your top of your head. Give us 5.
All right, I'd have to think carefully about that, but I'll say Midnight Seek Knowledge for Vengeance is an easy one. Sizzler Praise Ye Jah, Sizzler Black Woman and Child, if I can squeeze in 2 Sizzlers. I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'd have to think about that. There's just too many. I mean, yeah, I could say Jah Cure, Ghetto Life, then, but I don't know. It's really hard. I'd want some Beres, some Garnet Silk. I'd want some Bob Marley. I'd want some Hugh Mandel, some Jacob Miller, some Dennis Brown. Yeah, I don't know. No, it's too hard, man. Sorry.
That's the thing with reggae music, man. Everyone's got their own unique style, and it's so wicked. Each and every singer or DJ just comes across with their own personal message. And anyone that's listening and not really tuned into reggae music, definitely tune into Jesse's show on PBS every Saturday, 5 till 7 on Babylon Burning. on 106.7 FM. And like I say, there's more new artists coming out of Jamaica every day. And the music's changing, it's evolving. For me personally, I like to see it come back a little bit more. Like the days, like I say, with Sizzler, Morgan Heritage, get some real music back into it, get the whole root of the whole 70s sound going. Where do you want to see Jamaican music in another 5 years?
That's a good question, you know. I mean, personally, I like where dancehall's evolved to in the last couple of years. I really like the slower hip-hop rhythms coming out of Jamaica, the hip-hop influenced dancehall. And there's still enough real dancehall there to keep the dancehall heads happy, but I have to agree, I would like to see return to more Jamaican roots rhythms. I always think about, you know, 96, 97, maybe 98 as being a bit of a golden era for roots reggae in Jamaica. Labels like Exterminator, African Star, Star Trail, Digital B, you know, those sort of Black Scorpio, making real roots reggae, but with a modern sound, voicing the dynamic sing jays like Sizzler and Anthony B in those days. You know, I think it was a really golden era, and I would like to see more of that. That's my worry about Jamaican music now, because a lot of the veterans have dropped out of the scene. Those producers I just mentioned, most of them aren't really making rhythms anymore because they can't make money from it anymore because nobody's buying records, it's all MP3 downloads. And so that means that the people in Jamaica making music now are young kids that aren't trying to make a living off it, they're just trying to make a name for themselves. And they're all going to make dancehall because that's what they want to hear. That's their music. But we need more producers stepping up with a return to that roots sound, just to keep the roots alive in Jamaica. I've got to give thanks for like Shane Brown and Donovan Germain, Jukebox, Penthouse labels for keeping the real roots reggae alive. But we need more still.
Any young DJs out there that are into reggae music and they aspire to you as a veteran, what's your best advice you can give them?
You know, I actually I was watching Channel 31 one night and there was a Filipino DJ playing Filipino music. They asked him that same question and the answer he gave is, above all, be nice. And I love that answer because like when it comes down to it, that's a really important thing in this business because it's, you know, a lot of the DJ industry, music industry in general is networking and who you know to get access to this venue or to get gigs here and there. And if you're a nice person, you're easy to work with, it's going to go a long way. But apart from that, I guess, you know, you can't fake a love of the music. If you don't love the music to your heart and soul, if you're not obsessed by the music and want to listen to it every waking minute, then leave it to someone else that has that passion, because you can't fake that and you can't hustle the music.
And I think with reggae music, once you hear it once, as Bob Marley said, when music hits you, you feel no pain. I think that's true words, you know. And as you said, you know, it's not you hear it and you like it, you feel it, you shut your eyes, and you just want to hear it every minute of the day, like you say. And that's it. If you've never been to Jamaica and you're thinking about going there, go there. And every car, every bicycle with a radio, you just hear it on every street corner. And I know the same you and the same as I, it's such an eye-opener hearing reggae music at the home, and everyone just really respects you just because you like their music and you're promoting their music.
Yeah, Jamaica, yeah, that's a must, you know. I reckon if you're a fan of Jamaican music, go to the birthplace and see where it comes from. You know, Jamaica's got a bad reputation. It can be a really hairy place. It can be very intimidating. But if you go there with a genuine love of the music, and once people see that, you know, you're going to be very well received. So yeah, I'd say definitely if you have the opportunity, it's not that easy from Australia, it's such a long way, but if you can do it, go there. Jamaica's mud.
I reckon that's about it. Now, Jesse, unless there's a question you want to ask yourself.
No, man.
Are you sure you're okay? So yeah, so we're here at Morfire for the 10th anniversary. Jesse I and Rascrucial for Chant Down Sound versus Nasty Tech tonight. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. Nasty Tech, of course, a legendary Prince Andrew and Mikey Glamour from Sydney. Should be awesome. Wicked dancehall playing, early 90s stuff that I was born and bred onto. So should be an awesome night, and I hope people here that are actually in the venue should enjoy themselves. And if not, check out the audio. I'm sure there's going to be audio posted. Yep. And where can you find that audio, Jesse?
You can check out chantdown.com for photos from every dance and audio from a bunch of them. We'll definitely have the audio for this one up there. Yo, enough respect. Spin the music. Man like Steve Austin, large every time.
Bless up, brethren.